We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of The Love of Music. Oh, and also a little bit of an author's kiss here today on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful repeat guest is Swapna Abraham, all the way from India at the present moment. We've had her on before, and you have to please come back and listen to the show that we did before. It was quite extraordinary. She set out to give up music, which lasted a day. And then she decided, I'm going to do a song every day for 1,000 days. And then it ended up being 2,300. Is that right?
And 21.
Oh my God, just like, I'm bored. I'm just going to keep doing these songs. I kept churning out of her. Well, now she's gone and written a book. And so we're going to be talking about She Played in the Dark. What is that all about? This is an accomplished woman here. She's got the music in her. She's got the creativity in her. But she's not a person just to hold it into herself. It has to come out and it has to be shared. So we're going to be really diving into the new book, her music. She's produced 21 music albums and performed extensively on international gospel music platform. And she's holding the 4 world record in singing and songwriting with the Golden Book of World Records. Wow. And she played in the dark and tackling the journey lessons through the 100,000 Days World Record journey and mentoring in singing and songwriting. She's championed the first branded karaoke cafe. I love it. How do you pronounce the name of it?
It's cafe okay.
Cafe. Perfect. In India, we have a school for singing and songwriting and recording. And she's also known for her acting performances as Donna in Mamma Mia, musical directed by the late Mithran Devas. I'm going to pronounce that name wrong. Again, going to let you do it so that I'm not mispronouncing.
Nathan.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Sarah.
And, just a really accomplished woman. I mean, this is a woman whose life is exceedingly boring. She never does anything. So, I'm not sure when she sleeps or if she does. Or maybe she's actually sleep creating. I don't know, but she doesn't stop because she always manages to put so much in her day and leave us with so much inspiration and giftedness. It's wonderful to have you back again, hon.
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much for your kind words. It's really good to be here with you again, and just all the things you said. It's so touching. Thank you.
Oh, always my pleasure. And of course, I look a bit ghostly here because we're at darkness here and I can't get enough light. So, woo! And it's early morning for her. So she's looking bright and
Indeed.
bushy. So you've literally got night and day here today.
Indeed, indeed.
So, last time I talked to you, I think you were actually in the States.
I was in Dubai.
In Dubai, that's right.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Gosh, she gets around, folks. Yes, they're not keeping you. There's no keeping you down or in one place, is there? There isn't
No,
such thing as
Sarah.
there's a box in your life. They let you standing on it. All right. So let's just quickly, briefly talk about the songs that you set out because, it's like I'm going to give up music, and then then I'm going to do this challenge of a 1,000 songs over 1,000 days, which then went on to be, which you got a wonderful world record on. But I interviewed you during that back in 21 and what you were doing. And you were saying that sometimes you're traveling and you've got to come up with a creative song kind of in the loo at the airport, wherever you were. Did you find it difficult to kind of keep that creative juices going, or did you just find they were backed up, ready to come out?
It was by decision, and I've written about it in the book, Sarah. Um, a song needed to be made every day. Actually, two, the second for kids, right? And there's always a song in you if you just look into yourself or you look around you. Life is full of inspiration. The earth is full of inspiration. So we can never run out of topics. I think the only impediment would be the will to create. I want to, that decision, okay, I'm going to sit down and write. I'm going to sit down and play. That's usually what stops, I believe, what stops people. Music is always there. The words, the ideas are always there. If you're that kind of person, you're constantly thinking about it, right? So that's why, incidentally, the last time we spoke was after I'd finished, but it was still very fresh. After I'd finished the challenge and got these 4 world records, it was still very fresh. So we did discuss a few of these things at the time, about how this inspiration happens and things
Yes.
that it's there. It's there in an artist. It's there all, you're 24/7 an artist. You create in your sleep. You rightly said that, in your dreams. And you create when you're not dreaming as well.
But I also think you're very much tapped into the rhythm of life. My rhythmic comes out
Absolutely.
in my words, in my interviewing, when I'm doing my thing or writing.
Yes.
Your rhythm will come out literally, with the music. But I think a
Yes.
lot to do with your culture, because it's extremely musical. And, I was brought up with musicals where everybody
Oh,
sang their feelings. Nobody could actually
wow.
speak them. They burst out into song, right? And I think that is like, I think if we could sometimes just burst out into song and sing how we feel, instead of kind of trying to speak it or hide it, I think we'd be a lot better off.
Absolutely. And isn't it so much better? Like if a mom actually sings an original lullaby to the kid, which I used to
Mhm.
do, by the way.
Oh, I mean, I used to sing to my kids all the time, and I sing to my grandson, and it's
Oh,
whatever comes into my head, I make it up. But if I really
absolutely.
wanted to put my kids in their place, I sang opera, and they'll do anything to shut me up. Because
No,
believe
I
me,
get
I'm no
that.
operatic.
No,
But I've
no.
got this little 2-year-old now, and I kind of just sing songs along with him, and he'll either la 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 with me or look at me with those beautiful big doe eyes, and
How
it's
wonderful.
just sometimes you just can't speak it; you have to sing it.
Yes. And the bonding with individuals, of course, with our own relatives like grandchildren,
Mhm.
the bonding with individuals, I think we connect a lot deeper and better sooner with
Yeah.
music.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
rhythm, it's those notes, it's those emotions, and the lyrics, of course. So there's so much more than just words when it comes to a song, and the connect happens, the resonance happens so much faster, I think,
Yeah.
and deep, more profound. Yeah.
I bought him one of those gong type things to play, when for his first birthday, and he's a bit young for it, but it's that first musical instrument. And for his first birthday, my daughter's boyfriend was there, and what he does as a career, it goes around to I think 5 or 6 play groups or preschools a day, playing songs with the children, right?
Wow.
And so he was sitting there playing the music on his my little Roro's first birthday, and he goes over there and puts his hand on the guitar, and then you just see his little bum bouncing up and
Yes.
down to the music, and it just like, oh, it is so heartwarming to see that
Yeah.
reaction.
They're so natural, aren't they?
Yes,
Because
yes,
no one's told them what to do. It's spontaneous. It's free
yes.
flow.
And I think that is so important to keep the rhythm in them, whether it is a song rhythm or whether it's a speaking rhythm or just the rhythm of enjoying life. I think it's really essential that
And
that rhythm of life stay in them, that we keep it within them. We don't try and, box it out of them.
absolutely. And I think sometimes when we start learning formal music from nursery rhymes and so
Mm.
on and so forth, we kind of take away that natural music from the individual
Yes.
uh, that you spoke about in your grandchild. That natural movement and sensibility could get lost when a kind of structured and imposed form of music is taught. You see what I mean?
Yes. Well, right now, of course, he loves jump baby jump, swing baby swing, and then,
That's
and he's so proud of himself when he's I'm in the groove, and then of course he's got to play it again another 6 times, you
of
know.
course.
But then we do that ourselves when we find a catchy song. And I was talking with someone the other day about this, about movie music and how very often, because we were watching Rocky. My daughter hadn't seen Rocky in years, and she's very pregnant about to have a second one. And she said, I'm going to watch the
Oh,
Rockies. So we're watching all the Rockies and, da, 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 and all the music that comes with it. And how often that music, not only precedes the movie, but is a statement even beyond the movie.
Yes, yes. It's kind of eternal, isn't it?
Mm.
There are so many people that that download background score of
Mm.
movies and just listen to it because
Yes.
you don't even need the visuals to get into that scene. By
Yeah.
just the music, you get it.
I was in the oh, where was it? It was an island, Mauritius. That's it, Mauritius,
Oh, okay.
off South Africa or off Africa, and I was swimming out quite far, and then I literally could float on the water. I could go to sleep on the water. I love it. But this is back in the late 70s. And we didn't have TV back then. It's just radio. You go to the movies, but a lot of the music from
Yes.
Jaws was being played. And as I'm lying there in the water, I could feel things, fish swimming underneath me. And suddenly my imagination started taking place, and all I heard was rum, rum, rum. And then you're imagining sharks swimming all over you, and then suddenly the adrenaline of swimming back to shore, and how the mind with, I mean, what is a movie without music?
Absolutely. And to think that there are films without background score,
Mm,
that's a different form of art in itself, but certainly music adds to it by leaps
yes.
and bounds.
Yes, yeah, and the drama or setting the stage, or just inviting you to be in a certain phrase of mind. So yeah, I think it's really, really important. So this book that you have written, which is quite She Played in the Dark, great title.
Thank
Is this
you.
kind of covering kind of what the process of the music that you went through for all these songs that you wrote, or is what is it about?
It's a little mischievous, Sarah, so that kind of intrigues the listener, isn't it? So you're
Well, that
wondering
title, I mean, come on.
what is it? I mean, it's clearly someone who's done something with music because songs is mentioned on the top of the cover, on
Yeah.
the cover rather. But then, so what's the play about?
Mm,
There are two things about the play. One is I felt invisible as an artist
mm,
for the longest time, which led it to the decision to want to give up.
yes.
Um, so it is in the course of this 1,000 days that I realized work is worth its reward, that you don't
Mm,
necessarily need it to even see the light of day. It
hmm.
just is the work, even without remuneration, work itself in some senses, especially artistic work, is its own reward.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was an invisible artist. So that's the dark because I kept doing it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't stop releasing whatever songs were coming out of me just because they didn't have an outlet.
Yeah,
And
you
we know
weren't
it's
doing love. You weren't doing, you were being. You are the
absolutely,
music. It
absolutely.
was your language. It had to come out of you.
Yeah, and it's stifling because
Mm,
if you just want to bring out all that and it's you don't have if you're not going to release it, I almost think you'll choke or die of it. So
hmm.
I just kept on writing. But the other dark is when I was young and playing the piano, I loved playing the piano in the dark.
Mm,
I would actually
mm,
switch off the lights when I used to be in boarding school, right? So
right.
we had the piano in a passageway. I would actually switch off the light and play in the dark. And my colleagues were so kind. They knew I was a little weird. So if they saw me playing in the dark, they actually wouldn't even put on the light. They'd just go walk past. I mean, I think when you listen to music without seeing what's
Yes.
around you, you feel the music deeper. So I believe.
I think in the darkness, what the visuals of the music is to you can
It's
now play
heightened.
out. It heightens. Whereas, like,
Yes.
if you're in the light and you're influenced by what's around you, the music takes on a different meaning. But if you're
Hmm.
doing it in the dark, the music's
Yes.
meaning has a blank canvas in which to portray
Absolutely.
itself.
Absolutely. So that's what it was. So she
Mm,
played in the dark. I didn't even think of. I thought about the Phoenix,
mm,
but then this just came to mind. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick with that. It sounds
yes.
weird, but it doesn't matter. It's
No,
mischievous.
perfect title, perfect title,
Thank you.
because there's so many wonders to that. But this is something that I talk about a great deal, where I was trapped kind of in the darkness in my life for a long time, where I saw the light, but it was too fearful to come out because I was going through a lot of abuse at that time. And so, kind of
I'm
coming out into the
sorry.
light, it was safe to stay in the dark. And then you can get
Absolutely.
complacent in that kind of dark or too fearful to move out of it. Eventually, I did. You get blinded by the light, they feel shadows are chasing you. And then you get to that stage of light where I love the dark, for I am the light in the dark,
Wow, that's profound. Oh,
which is
that's
what you were
lovely.
doing. Your music was the light in the dark.
That is so deep, that statement, by the way. It's so good. Wow, yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Sometimes just the fact that we are at it
Yeah.
is what keeps us going. It's what keep, and if we don't, we probably will just perish.
I agree because, I always say it's my guilty pleasure to interview musicians because, you aren't doing the music, you are the music. And,
Oh,
when you've got instrumentalists, like I've interviewed people with, the ballad drummer, he and the drums are one, the guitar of the American blues, when he plays his guitar, he and the strings are one. And this is the
yes,
beauty of it. When you're writing your song or playing your piano, you are at one with it. It is the entire expression of your heart and your soul and your spirit. You can't separate that. To
you
separate
can't.
that will make you a humanoid of,
That's right.
literally, and there's plenty of humanoids out there that have no consciousness or awareness of the heart, soul, and spirit. Your heart and soul and
Absolutely.
spirit is constantly expressing itself, and it has to.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I think it's artists that explore and discover those parts of themselves that most people have not gone anywhere
Yes.
close to. They don't even know it exists. I believe so. And I'm not saying this vainly, but it's the truth.
It
You know,
very
you
much is
reach
the
those
truth.
recesses.
All the
Yes, you do.
musicians some have paused to have families or take what they call real jobs to put the food on the table, but music draw them back. Others are, I can't do anything but music. Music is who I am. And, they've all felt like you at some point, the frustration of, am I even heard? Does anyone even care? But I don't think you're just alone as musicians there. I think a lot of people go through life where they're doing something and they feel that they're just a number in this,
Yes,
mathematical scale in life, and nobody sees or hears them. But then if you just kind of quote, keep playing, there's somebody that's going to hear that song, that's going to be their catalyst to standing up and dancing in their own lives.
I believe. Well, that's what every musician
Mhm.
secretly, if not blatantly, desires.
Yes.
That someone will see them in the dark.
Yes. Exactly. And I think also with musicians, it's feel them, right? It's feel them
Right. Hmm.
because you may see them, and some people like to kind of watch music. I know very often when I'm listening to music, it's either when I'm driving or with my eyes closed, because I want to feel where the music takes me. I'm
Yes.
feeling the heart and soul of the musician. That
Yes.
dance that's in my own darkness is through the music that I'm hearing, along with where I am in my own heart mindset at that time. You can listen to the same piece of music and have a different dance every time.
Absolutely. It depends where you're at
Exactly. But
and
that
what's
isn't that
going
the
on
beauty
inside of
of it?
you.
That's
Yeah.
why, like a good book keeps on giving, but that's the same with music. Why do we listen
True.
to the same music over and over again? Why do we have favorite music that means so much to us? It's like a comfortable blanket, it's or a security to us or an inspiration to us, right? Because it reminds us of something that
Yes.
brought joy to you or brought peace to you or brought something
Yes.
to you. And you want to go back there to get that feeling.
It does that. Indeed, it literally transports you to that point in time when you experience something and you want to feel that all over again.
Yes. Yes. Now, we are in a time, and I've interviewed people who are a lot older than you that, it literally they had to have studio time and, try and book that time to kind of literally the cassette tapes handing over to, DJs, radio stations to try and get their music played. And we are in the era where musicians not only can create their own music at home through the computer, but
Hmm.
also can share it worldwide independently.
Absolutely.
And so this
Absolutely.
is this is a wonderful time for musicians. At the same time, though, there are many platforms who are abusing that and giving you
Hmm.
less than a cent on the dollar for your music.
Hmm. That's
Hmm.
right. I'm not sure how many of those that are online, except for the lucky ones that have viral
Hmm.
channels, posts.
Hmm.
I'm not sure how many make much out of it,
Right.
which is why they will need that other job or that main
Yes.
job, and music will be a serious hobby at best. I was always running away from music, see,
Yeah.
because music was always constantly telling me that it's not going to take care of me.
Yeah. Yes. And I hear you very
And
much.
I'm like, you know, it's this thing that's it's. I don't like to call it a pain in your soul,
Mm.
but it will never leave you.
It's
You've got to
always
make the
hungry.
time.
It's always,
Absolutely,
yeah.
you've got to make the time for it. You've got to release it all the
Mm,
time, and it's a lot of investment of effort and a lot of other things.
mm,
But at the end of the day, it's not going to take care of life
no.
unless you're that lucky artist,
Yeah.
whether it was a traditional format or the modern one. But
Right.
the majority is out of it.
I see
Is the
an awful lot of
unlucky one.
musicians now creating their own platforms with their own either Stripe or PayPal, where
Hmm.
people can directly buy, where
Hmm.
they have a song or part of a song they give away. For the full song, you can pay for that. They've gone independent instead of going through any of those other platforms.
No labels, correct.
No labels whatsoever. And it's where when you're actually purchasing the song for $1.50 or whatever the case is, you are supporting the artist,
Yes,
right?
it's
Because the
going
public
directly to
doesn't
the
know.
artist.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Exactly. We just see it far too much in the arts world where we look at the star up on the screen and they've got 20 million for the movie. But what about when you look at the credits, the 500 people that made them look good? What did they get?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're a name in that 3 hours. They're 1 second
Yes.
screen time of a
As
name.
they go by. Yeah. Exactly. I had a lovely gentleman on the other day from the Planters, Joe Coleman, and the Planters, the Drifters, and one of the Temptations guys had got together to create music. We couldn't have the
Wow.
Temptation guys on, but we had the Drifters and the Planters, and of course they go way back, 50s and 60s, and they were talking about the music and how it's changed, and of course there were people of color, so it was very different, and where they are today and what it still means to them. And then that same week, I had a country artist, and I love the synchronicity of this, Kate, who had been mentored by Joe Coleman. And she
Wow.
didn't know he was on, and he didn't know that she was on, and it was in the same week. And I'd love when that happens. She's a country artist, and there she is by kind of
Wow.
Motown, being
Wow.
mentored by someone. And that's the thing about music, right? It doesn't matter if you're country, if you're a rap, if you're this or that. There is always something that you can share because
Hmm.
music is music, whatever tone it comes out in.
As a mentor, you will only teach the student.
Can you hear me?
It's delayed. It's a little delayed. Say something, Sarah?
Oh, got you back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Yes, yes. Sorry
May
about
I
that,
can?
but
No
I
worries.
hit
No
the
worries.
chord and just very, very lightly on that, it blocked out the whole audio thing. So, um, so I will
Shall I
carry on
just
now.
continue
Yes,
on that
please
line?
continue.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
continue. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, as a mentor, I think you just teach the student the basics and the ethic.
Mm,
Um, After that, the student has to discover and find their
yeah.
own genre and all of that, everything. It may have nothing or no similarity whatsoever with what the mentor style of music was.
Exactly. But what you're doing is teaching them the foundation in which to build
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
And I know, she said ethics. There is ethics to this. If you're going in, I'm going to be equivalent to a Cardassian in the music world and make myself
Hmm.
famous, but all I want is the fame, then
Exactly.
you're not really the true musician.
Uh
Because
huh.
the true musician, like as you said, you doesn't matter how much you want to walk away from it, you can't. You are the music. And whether you're hungry or not, you are compelled to put out a song, even if it's on the hunger.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. And this is really what people's attitude to work should be. You know, work should be this kind of thing
Yes.
that's so it's a constant throb. It gives you so much satisfaction once you've done it.
Hmm.
Um, and work should pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, they always say that if you're willing to do your work for free, then you know you're doing the right work. Now, that doesn't mean you should do it for free, because there's thing called roof and food that we need in
Yes.
life. But
Yes.
when you're willing to do it for free, and I've been like this for 11 years now, even the big huge donate button on their site does not always seem,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I'm compelled to do this. I found my music, so to speak, and yeah, I get to meet people like you who are such an inspiration. And like, not everybody
Thank
can
you.
match what you do. Not everybody has the drive. Not everybody has the spirit that you have. But you are the inspiration that begets the invitation for people to ignite something inside of themselves and explore.
Absolutely. You never know.
Never
You
know.
never know, Sarah. And no one, none of us know what we're capable of doing and being.
Mm,
When I set out to do this, the target was 1,000 songs and one every day, right? But 2,321 songs, out of which 1,000 were for children, which it's a genre I've never done my whole life.
mhm.
And now the book is out. What's going to happen now is that potentially the children's book is going to be out,
Oh,
which
good.
has the 1,000 songs in 4 volumes. I think of 250 songs in a volume. And I think if I may ever be known at some point, it will be because of the children's book.
But because not only is it an enormous market, but because people are truly understanding the impact that music has on children. Their psychological, their
Absolutely.
spirit, their
Yeah.
emotional, the physical, and how that inserting music into a child can ignite them, but can calm them, can speak for them when they can't find that expression themselves, and will always be their friend that's with them no matter where they are in life. And so we
Yes.
understand the importance of music with children. And so, yes, it may be, oh, well, yeah, and by the way, I also, right?
No, no. I see. But if you listen to our nursery rhymes, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and Jack and Jill rolled down the hill, and that the spider bit you, and so I had my grandchildren in mind when I was doing these 1,000 songs. So I was very particular and mindful that the lyrics of these songs should be something that should motivate my grandchildren at any point in time. Even if the song is about something negative, there should be a positive stroke in it.
We can't avoid negatives. And I think if we can teach children, negatives are going to happen. But with
Hmm.
the right mind, heart, and spirit set, you can face it and, go through it. And that don't be afraid of the negative.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
okay, Humpty fell off the wall and they can put it back together again. So what? Scrambled eggs, you know?
Oh,
But I agree. When you look at the nursery rhymes, or even some of the books, that I was brought up with, but the generations before me, they were horrible. They were scary.
and for children,
Yes.
exactly. So when I had this alternate project in mind, just before I started the 1,000 days, I'm like, someone's already doing a song a day. Let me do two a day. I can't do two normal songs. It'll be very difficult. Let me do a
Yeah.
different one, and children's one. I thought that's going to be easy. Guess what? It was going to be so tough because I've never
Yeah.
done this before. You need a different mind. You need a different
Yeah.
mind to compose for children. And
Yes.
then doing one after the other song, you literally have to change your mind, switch your
Yes.
mind.
Switch your
It's a
channel.
shift.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Switch the creativity channel to write the children's song. And then to be very careful. I can't go back and change any song. So I've got to be very careful to, make sure the lyrics are perfect and will stand good through generations.
And I can't wait until you've got that all together, because now people can download four,
Yes,
five, or whatever at a time and pay you
absolutely.
for it, right? Because let me tell you, parents who are sick to death of Baby Beluga and all of these type of things are always looking for more songs that are
Exactly.
also teaching their kids something
Yes.
that they're also learning from, that they don't
Hmm.
mind singing to their children. Right. So
Hmm. Hmm.
they will pay for it, darling. So please make it an industry, because
Thank you.
just download a package of 5 or 10 songs for X amount of dollars. I promise you they will. It'll be on their phone, or it'll be, my family has Google. Hey, Google, play.
I
Right,
know.
and it is it's important that not only the kids have that diversity that teach them something. This is why I also interview an awful lot of children's authors, because the message they have in their books, for a grandparent or a parent or a babysitter reading to that child, it becomes a renewed lesson for themselves as well as for the child.
It's not the first time I'm hearing this, Sarah, and
Mm.
this is so true, that children's literature is good for adults to read as well.
It's a good reminder,
It's
very
pure,
good
it's pure,
reminder.
it's
Yeah.
pure, it's unadulterated.
Yes. 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 And it's it's the lesson that you're teaching the kids, because again, kids are very repetitive. They want the same thing over and over again, then they
Yes,
tire of it and they're on to the next. So you want
yes,
to have a story that you enjoy reading, because a kid will know whether you don't enjoy it. It's the same with a
exactly.
song, right? It's like they get
Hmm.
stuck on a particular song. You want to know that you enjoy listening to it. And that
Absolutely.
even as they get older, you kind of can explain more to do with it, what it means, and
Absolutely.
then talk about it, because it gives you that opening and that avenue. Do you know what that song means? And as they get older and they want to know, right? It becomes that wonderful key of education for your kids.
Yes, it's so much potential in
Mm,
terms of education, sharing values, teaching values,
yeah,
and just the right roots in
yeah,
the right seed, and eventually it's also great financial opportunity.
yeah. It is.
Indeed, it is. Yeah.
And of course, musicians don't always have the financial hat. I'm an artist my own way, and that's not a hat that kind of stays on my head. It keeps falling off. And so,
Yes.
because in the past somebody else would take care of that for you. But then, I don't know if you've seen the Elvis movie and look at how
Oh
much he was
yes.
pillaged, and it killed him in the end, having to keep working and working for this guy's gambling habit, right? And
Hmm.
you look at so many stars, and everybody thought they were big and rich, but they were just being kind of raped and pillaged along the way. All
Totally.
right.
Yeah.
And it is a reminder that um, we need to change the way we go about who represents us as management. But for so many people, well, I guess I'm going to have to wear that hat too.
I'm sure. Yes. We have to learn it someday or
Yes,
the other if we want to stay in the business.
yes, yes. And, it is unfortunate because it does take away time. But at the same time, then that whatever goes wrong, you did it, and somebody else didn't do it. And that when the money is
Exactly.
actually in your hand, you did it. It hasn't gone to someone else who really didn't earn it. So yes, there's the benefit. And there's actually a few people that I know in the music world who actually work with musicians on how to manage their bookings and their money and how to
Oh
maximize on
yes.
that,
Yes, indeed.
which
So no
which
one gets
yeah,
taken for a
yeah,
ride, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And why shouldn't we pay musicians for their music? Look how the impact it has on our lives.
Hmm.
Now, we don't go to the record store anymore, although they're kind of making a comeback, but we used to go to a record store. We used to go into a music booth. I'm aging myself, into a music booth where you'd listen to a sample of music and then you would buy it. I even
Yes.
go back so far where we had the big hole in the middle. We had the plastic
Oh
thing.
yes.
But there was something about going to the music store, listening to a
I
sample of it.
miss it. I
Yeah,
miss it. This,
picking up that
about
vinyl.
feeling physical
Yes.
music in your
Yeah.
hand. I
Yes.
really miss that.
I was a DJ in my beginning of my life there, and
Oh.
we had our own mobile discotheque, and so we had the big turntables, and we had the speakers that were like two coffins, and then we had the heavy crates of LPs and records, and it was
Oh,
okay. We said it at the end of the evening, you're exhausted, and you got to load this all back up in the car, but
absolutely. Yeah.
we set the mood and the platform for people to have a good time. And there was
Yes.
so much fun in that. It was so
Hmm.
much fun seeing people have such a good time because of the music that you've chosen to play.
Yes. Now all of this is kind of so much behind. I mean, it's so much easier because of technology,
Yeah.
and in some sense, a lot of the nuances are just taken for
Mm.
granted,
Yes. And that's one of the
which meant a
problems.
lot back in
Yes.
the day.
Yes.
It's now, yes, it's ready, it's available.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of
Not
seconds and you have
appreciated so
it.
much. Yeah.
You know, yeah, yeah.
Complacency. Yes. That's one of the pet peeves.
Absolutely.
And this little old phone apparatus, which has become the computer now. Um, it is people are doing business by it, people are doing everything about it, but it becomes a little bit like it's kind of like giving birth to something without the pain. You know, there's something,
Oh, yes.
there's something
Yes,
about giving,
yes.
having all that pain and then holding that child in your
Yes,
hands. Every
indeed.
bit of pain was
Yes.
worth it, right? And
Absolutely,
but it's the
yes.
same with going with your own struggles. I'm sure, birthing a song. Oh, do the words go with the music? Do I feel that? Well, there's something missing, and then you finally get it right, and then you've birthed that song, and then say, yes, that's it. It was worth the
Exactly.
struggle.
Absolutely. And you've got to make it, see, in my case, through the 1,000 days, I couldn't do that. Like I said, I
Yeah,
could never go back and change anything.
right.
But when you can, which just reminds me, when I can work on something, you have to make it perfect for eternity.
Yeah.
Not a note should be changed, not a word should be changed. It
Right.
should be like it was always there in
Yes.
that frame, whatever that was.
But you are literally capturing the moment, the essence
Hmm.
of the moment. And we're
Hmm.
constantly saying to people, please be present in your
Exactly.
moment. And what
Hmm.
you're doing with the song is you're sharing your presence in that moment, which then homes them into being present in that moment while they listen
Yes.
to that song.
Yes, it's very common, Sarah, that the inspiration that the artist felt when they were creating
Yeah.
a certain piece of music, the same feeling transcends to the listener whenever they listen to it.
Yeah.
Whatever the artist felt at the time of creating whether it was sadness, whether it was madness, whether it was deep joy, it's instantly transcended to the listener. Isn't that beautiful?
It's beautiful. It is because you really are feeling the presence of that person in that essence at that moment. You capture it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what inspires you. I'm a big one for watching singing competitions, especially things like The Voice. And you've
Yes.
got people that will come on that will take an old song and sing it in a different way, reinterpret it. And you've got
Yes.
sometimes they're brave enough to do it in front of the actual artist that
Absolutely.
is their mentor or their judge. And like you've got the occasion where the person is saying, that is such a better rendition than mine is. It's the
I
next
agree.
evolution of it,
I agree. I
right?
agree. Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
it's so complimentary when people are so inspired by your music, but then speak it in their language, so to speak.
Yes,
Mm,
yes. Each one expresses it in their
mm,
form, and which is nice. So
yes,
when I take a George Michael song, an Amy Grant song, I tend to mimic them, but I should always remember to bring my version of it
yes,
out.
yes, absolutely, because that's who we want to hear,
Hmm.
and it's like you've got certain people that you always know it's them. Right? It doesn't matter what they're singing, you always
I
know
beg your
it's them.
pardon.
It's
Hmm.
that little kind of, again, essence or twang or tone of them. It's the same with a musician. It doesn't matter what they're playing, right?
Indeed,
There's
yeah,
that
yeah.
signature that they're there. But you can also feel it in authors. They can write 1,000 books, but there is a thread in every book. It doesn't matter if the story's completely different, but there's a thread
Yeah,
in every book that
signature.
and the same with
It
an
is the
actor.
author. Yeah,
Right? They can put prosthetics on, they can play somebody completely different, but you
yes.
know that whoever they're playing underneath it is them.
Exactly. That's another level altogether, but yes, that is
Yes.
true.
So, it's yes, you can sing somebody else's song, but we always want to know it's you, right? And that's when you're
Yes,
writing
Sarah.
them and you're having to produce them in that way, 1,000,000,000% you.
Indeed.
Do you still play in the dark? Not enough by the looks of things.
Not enough. No, not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough. I will not lie, not enough.
Hmm.
I'm just working on too much right now.
Mm,
I'm not playing enough in the dark. In fact, I'm not playing much.
mm.
I'm not playing much. But I'm all right with it.
Yeah, for
I'm all
now.
right with that. I found my peace. See, there was before the challenge and through part of it, there was this huge restlessness as an
Yeah.
artist, right?
Mm,
Just and I think that's so important for every artist is to land in
mm.
your zone. And
Yeah.
they always tell you to get out of your comfort zone, but I think for an artist, you
Mm.
land in your zone where you're
Your
so
groove.
fulfilled.
Yeah.
You're so fulfilled. So whether people call it enlightened or not, you feel so
Yes.
sublime and enlightened. And after that, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Nothing matters anymore.
No. No. And it's Do you find it difficult that when you put out a song so very much in the moment and somebody says, now, can you do that again? And it's like, gosh, can I? I've
No,
got
you
that all the time.
cannot.
I've got that when
Exactly.
I speak. People say, "Oh, can you say that again?" What? You know, it's
You've
been
lost it.
said. It's been
You've
spent.
lost it.
Do
Exactly.
you find that
It's a
with
moment
songs?
in time. It's
Yes.
lost. You may even go back, get the same words, and say it again. It won't be the same.
Right. Right. Yes. There was Robert Williams, who was a saxophonist with the Beach Boys, and he said that he was in the room with, oh gosh, with the main character, who Brian, and he was playing the piano and singing a song. And he said he so wished it was the era of the cell phone and he could put the music, the thing on and record it. And he said he was like, for half an hour, Brian was just playing and it was absolutely
Wow.
transcending. And then afterwards, he said to him, that was absolutely magnificent. Oh, we put it in the album. No, that was just for me.
Wow.
And sometimes an artist just needs to do that sometimes, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's just for
just for you.
yourself. It's just for yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so there could be, in fact, when I was young, I used to play all the time, every break,
Hmm.
every 5 minutes, I'd be at the piano. Every break. If I'm not, I'm not even playing. If I'm not studying, I'm on the piano. And
Hmm.
and that was it, right? But after a while, playing the piano becomes part of the things that I create. So I'm actually
Right.
doing a lot right now. I think I'm past all of that, and I believe there will be a later stage in life when I will get back to playing in the dark
In the dark.
for,
And
for,
it
for, the,
and it
for
will
other
be
reasons.
a totally different type of music, right? It will be
Yay!
whatever the
And
music is representing you and your life at that time.
totally, and it'll be for other reasons. It may be exactly the same mindset I had when I was a young person playing,
Yeah.
because there is no end goal attached to it.
Right.
You see, when you're an artist, the end goal is, I want to make the song. I want it to be heard. I want there to be an audience. There should be a following. Oh, why does nobody listen to it? You see, when you're just playing in the dark as a young
Yes.
person and not really looking at the outcome, the people out there, you are
Mm.
doing it for yourself. You're doing
You're doing
so.
O'Brien.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So I'm going to get back to that someday. I know for sure, where I'll just be doing it because I feel at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, Prince in an interview saying that he wrote a song a day, every single day.
Wow. I
And
believe I believe so many of his
yes,
songs never got published. They were out,
exactly.
they're there in some kind of a chest or something.
Right, exactly. And it's like, again, because he was the ultimate musician, whether it was to be made public or not, it was that song was his fuel, his
Hmm.
generator every day, right? To play that
Wow.
music every day was what it generated his inspiration. And maybe that song, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, we can record that. Or that no, that was just to keep my generator going. That was just to keep the soul, heart, and spirit's channels open.
Indeed. Yeah, it's like a marathoner. When they finally run the big marathons,
Mm,
that's what everyone sees. No one sees what they do on a daily basis. They're running a
exactly.
marathon almost every day. No one sees that. But they do that because that's their training, that's their discipline.
Yeah.
That keeps them going to that big marathon whenever that happens.
And that's part of, any success, isn't it? Whether you're a musician or not or whatever. I mean, every day, I do approximately 24 interviews a month. Right
Wow.
now, again, we have second baby coming and eventually I'll be moving closer. So the time, has been shifted a wee bit and not always available. But it is it is something that then there's all the prep work behind it. Or, so each show takes anything from 4 to 5 hours to produce before we put it out there. And,
Right.
sometimes you can look at it and go, oh, this is tedious. And other times, oh, I'm so creative. I'm loving this. Right. And it just really cares where you are. Sometimes I was a week away from it when I was looking after my son's puppies and kitty. Then I got really, really sick from peculiar virus. And so I was kind of out of it for a while. And then it was so eager to get back to it. It's like,
You
well, can
missed
I
it.
stay out of it? Could I give this up? And then the moment I got back to it and did my first interview, the answer was no, you can't. Can't.
You got your
You got to
answer.
keep at it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Yes, I
sometimes you
know.
take a pause though.
Yes, but it's become an inseparable part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I can't imagine you without this, Sarah. Probably you maybe you perhaps you'll do other things later on, but I can't imagine you not doing interviews like this.
No, it's going to be when I can't see people anymore, or I find it all croaky. I mean, I've interviewed somebody who was 92 with her own TV show and taken a new lover 2 years beforehand. So, I want to be
Whoa.
like her when I grow up.
Whoa. That's very inspiring, by the way.
Exactly. If you've still got the I think if you've still got the passion in you. I mean, look at Tony Bennett. Look at, so many of the people in the 70s and the 80s. And I think Tony Bennett got on into his 90s. And their voice isn't the same. But the soul and the expression of who they are. And like, look at
Totally
Tony
is.
Bennett with Lady Gaga putting those duets and bringing his music to a new generation and showing a kind of appreciation for a different type of genre to what they're used to. Isn't that
Hmm.
beautiful?
Wow. I'm sure. And she would feel honored as well to have that kind of experience working with her. Think about it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is something that we do see so much now today, which I think is wonderful, is collaboration with other people.
Collaborations, correct, correct.
Now, do you do collaborations?
I do. I do collaborations,
Mm,
yes. And I like the mix between different generations.
mm,
And I think that's really good because we bring experience, we bring a different mindset, and what's contemporary is so different.
yes.
Even their rhythm is different.
Uh-huh.
Their priorities are different. It comes
Mhm,
in their music as well, doesn't it?
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So it's really nice to be working with them indeed.
Yes. I think, kind of it's that rejuvenation of the young spirit that can be intoxicating, but it's that foundation and rooting of
Hmm.
the experience that when you put them together, you've got something that's so well balanced.
Yes, and I also think as a species we've evolved, Sarah.
Yeah,
So things that, for example, used to find difficult doing, I see the next generation doing it so easily. I'm not
yeah,
just talking about tech,
yeah,
just even music,
yeah.
even the way you handle music. Well, so we have our strengths, they have theirs, and we just bring the best to the table. Isn't that great?
We see like on shows like America's Got Talent, 6-year-old, 9-year-olds, 11-year-olds
Mm,
with
mm.
such confidence picking up that mic
Abs-
and belting out songs where you're looking at them and go, one of them said,
what age are
did
they?
you swallow an
Exactly.
adult? And it's like you're looking at them as such a gifted spirit. And you had the young guy, his name's gone out of my head right now. He had autism. He actually won. And, he's blind as well. And his mum is always there with him. And you ask him something, yeah. And then he goes and plays and brings out Sinatra and this and that on the piano.
Wow.
And it's like people are gobsmacked, And it's like we look at these young people and you think, how can you have the experience that is being expressed in your song in such a young soul?
Yes,
Well,
yes. It's like they're just a young person, but they have like an much older person living inside of them.
they've opened their channels. Their channels are open to download all that beautiful wisdom, and they haven't
Mm,
got the ego in the way. They just
exactly.
allow, right? They just allow.
Hmm.
That ego is something that may come later, but they just allow. And then you hear them. But even if they don't win, they're so poised. They're so
Yes,
mature. And it's
yes.
just like they're such
Very
an
gracious
example.
indeed.
Oh my
Yes, very,
goodness.
very gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think in your world of musicianship or anybody in the arts form of world, graciousness and gratitude are two things that you really need to have in your vocabulary.
totally. Yeah. Always grateful for the smallest thing.
Hmm.
Ever grateful. We take nothing for granted. Nothing. This interview, Sarah, I'm so grateful for that matter. But nothing can be taken for granted at all. As an
No,
artist, nothing can.
no,
The ability to do something and anything that comes towards you in your capacity as an artist is just truly grateful.
yes. You know, today marked the third year, when since COVID started, and the
Oh yes,
lockdowns, right? And
indeed.
so,
Yay.
so it was, it was I got given a saying many years ago by the universe. The universe is shaking us up to wake us up for us to step up and change it up and grow up vibrationally, but also grow up as a
Mhm.
human race and stop whining,
Yes.
right? But
Yes.
we're still being shaken up. But I think that shake up was so needed because so many people realized they were living a life of expectation of somebody else's dictation. And they weren't
Mm-hmm.
following their heart and soul and meaningful purpose. And they've redirected and they've become so much happier on the path they're on now because they know that authenticity of the gift they are is where they're meant to be.
Yes. And no point running away from it.
It's,
The
you
universe
can't
will just
outrun
bring you
yourself.
back to it.
You
It'll
can't
bring you
outrun
back to
yourself, right? Yeah,
it.
exactly. You can try and run as much as you like. You'll always catch up with yourself, right?
Indeed.
So you may as well
Indeed,
face the
indeed.
music. Exactly. Who are the
In literal
influences for you?
terms, yeah.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, Sarah.
Who are the influences for you now?
My influences remain the old ones
Mm,
that always influenced me. I admire a lot of them now. So the old influences were George Michael and Amy Grant.
hmm
And then as I grew up, there was Lionel Richie, so many of them, Richard Marx, the big rock bands. Um, in the present generation, I like so many of them. John Mayer,
hmm
um, my goodness, so many of them. Ed Sheeran, there are certain things I like about certain artists,
Yes,
but not
but not all of
entirely. So
it.
then I
Yeah.
exactly,
Mm,
So for me, the whole package was a George Michael and Amy
mm.
Grant. My goodness, anything they bring out is like awesome. You remember back in the day, we would just I'm sure it's for this generation, for the present artists. But back in the day, we just wait for a release by our favorite
Yes.
artist. We just
Yes.
know it's going to be good. Remember
Yes.
that?
You've already worn out the vinyl of the last one and you can't wait for the new one. Yeah.
And we know whatever they're going to churn out is
Yeah.
going to be good. There's
Yeah.
no two ways about it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still stuck in time. I like the old better, no doubt,
Yeah.
but there are great treasures in the present
I
generation.
go back even further. I'm the Lena Horns.
Ah,
And I realize I love sultry music. I love the blues. I love the music that makes you feel elongated.
oh,
The
nice.
music that is sultry and oh, it just gets everything moving. And some of the movies that I've been watching is Andrea Day in Billie Holiday. And if you haven't seen that, see that. It is magnificent. I love her voice. I love her singing. But when she is
Mm.
being raw and guttural as Billie Holiday and what Billie Holiday went through and the way that she sang, because it's not like she has the perfect tone, but she's that kind of almost that guttural, earthy singer,
Nice,
and
nice,
it absolutely
nice.
beautiful. And there's oh gosh, I'm terrible with names today. I don't know why. Kind of gone completely blank, but there's a number of shows on people like you had Jennifer Hudson playing
Oh,
Aretha
yes,
Franklin. And you
yes.
look
Oh,
at
my
these
word.
artists, the common thread, and there was another one that Queen Latifah played as well, which is I'm blanked out of right which artist she played, but she played a famous artist as well. And you look at the
Well,
abuse.
Shania Twain's another.
Yes,
Then oh my goodness, then there are so many. I don't know if we call her Sade,
yeah,
Sade. I
yes,
love her
yes,
songs.
yes.
They're so soulful. Of course,
Haunting almost. Yes,
the
yeah.
Mary J. Blige,
Yes.
Aretha Franklin, no
Oh, Mary
doubt.
J. Blige's No More Drama. I mean, she is truly the expression of pain and what we're going through. But I also love the early works of Black Eyed Peas. Where is the
Oh yeah,
love?
yeah,
And I often put it up
yeah.
in one of my shows, like, where is the love?
Great song, by the way. Great
Brilliant
song.
song and brilliant. And
So you
Jennifer
have
Lopez,
this old, yeah, Jennifer Lopez. Okay, you have these great artists there, and then you have great
yes.
songs.
And I don't remember his name, the guy that did Hamilton. Um, he's got that funny name, so I can never pronounce it. But he did a song for a particular event. I think it was some shooting or event or something that had happened with Jennifer Lopez. And it kind of was about where is the love? And they just put it out. And it was just so great because it was part
Nice.
rap, you know, uh, part everything. There was a little hodgepodge of everything in there. It got you going, but it got you thinking and it got you feeling. And I want music to help me express how I feel.
Hmm. I like Keith Urban, Blake Shelton.
Yes, yes, yes.
I like all
Well,
these
I'm not
country
so sure about
artists.
Blake Shelton. I am not a country music artist, although
Okay.
I have interviewed so many country music artists, but they're more, I mean, there was one of them, calls herself the Swamp Lady because she's kind of swamp music. But it's not kind of like the typical country music. It is more of the bluegrass.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
prefer.
that's the bluegrass that I like.
I like. I don't like just songs for the sake of songs, and I
Yes.
think a lot of country music is like that. It's the usual stuff. I like the one-off song that is soulful, that's a little different, but still country.
Yeah.
Um, so for me,
It's the
it's a combination.
storytelling of the country that's
Yeah,
great,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and a great song. I come back to, yes, there are great artists, but
Yeah.
for me, it's great songs.
Yes. Yeah.
Which are the
There,
ones that we pick up and we want to listen to over and over again, not necessarily because of the artist, but because of the song.
yes. There is a wonderful guy I interviewed, John Almond, and he's called the ballad drummer, and he always wanted to be the drummer that played ballad music, but
Mm,
nobody, what, you should be rock and rolling, and his career was that. And then eventually, actually through COVID, he got all these musicians together, and they kind of put together this wonderful, I think, 18 song and performance of different artists of ballad music.
nice.
Some of it's sultry, some of it this, some of it that. And I'm driving always down to my grandson, and like the album Lost Me the Journey, and it's just like so great. And the
Oh,
other one
how
I love is
wonderful.
Pentatonics. I love their music, the a cappella group.
Oh my goodness, you're amazing. They're perfect. I
Absolutely.
don't know how they do it.
It just shows you there's some people very good at instruments, and there's some people that are very good with the instrument of their voice, right? And it's, yeah,
Absolutely. They're just
yeah.
amazing.
Hmm.
And they don't need any
No,
instruments. They're
no,
perfect just as they
exactly.
are.
Yeah. And they're so in sync with each other, which is great. But that's the thing I got asked the other day on a summit, put on the spot. Which music do you really like? Which is the one, if you can only have one album on a desert, thing? And
What do
it's
you
like,
mean?
and it was like there was no one, but I had to say one. So I said Justin Johnson, the American blues guitarist, just because I was in that frame of mind. But it's like asking people to say you're only allowed one type of food,
Mm.
right? You're only allowed bread, or you're only allowed this, And it's like you can't. We
So
need a balanced
would you
diet.
normally, yeah, would you normally have, no, I'm just asking you, on a drive, would you like an assorted, a mix of different artists, or do you prefer listening to the same artist for the whole hour?
I normally, like, especially if I'm driving or if I'm working, sometimes I'm busy working, it's the mundane stuff, and I may listen to one particular artist and all of their songs. I have
Hmm.
found through the years with a person who suffers from depression that when I feel that depression valve opening up, I go and listen to music. Sometimes it's actually the words that are being said. Sometimes it's just the music. I don't hear the words, and it's
Yeah,
the music. And what I've learned, and which was backed up scientifically, is that music rebalances us. It equalizes us. It
it
brings us
resets
back. It
us.
resets us into a rhythm. And so, if you can catch your depression or your anxiety
Hmm.
at the beginning, you can get it back into rhythm before it takes hold. And I
Yep.
think there's game, the power of music is just, it's medicine. It's medicine for the heart, spirit, and soul.
It is. It's so it's I'm sure it's people are talking more about it these days, but it
Yes.
needs to be talked about even more.
Yeah.
It's therapy. Music is therapy.
And
It
many
it,
people are
it
using America. They're being musical therapists. Yeah.
Yeah, it sets the mood. It
Yeah.
changes the mood, but also you have to select the music correctly
Mm.
for therapy.
Hmm.
So there are certain music that can trigger
Hmm.
something that's not
Not where you
necessarily
want them to go
healthy.
at the time. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So one has to be careful. I'm very careful about my choice of music depending on my mood. If I don't want to go any lower than I presently am, I should not listen to certain kind of music, because the first thing that's going to happen if I listen to it is that I'm just going to go straight down and start crying.
Yes. But there again, is sometimes what we need to do is just have a damn good
Let's
cry.
have that. Yeah.
Right? It's just that wonderful release. If it's a good, healthy cry as a release, but you don't want to get
Mm.
into but then maybe you do. Who knows?
Mm, mm.
But no,
Wonderful.
I mean, for music, it has to be a part of my life, and I'm a very visual person. In fact, I didn't sleep well last night because I had so many scenes going on in my head, and I'm a person that dream to a point where I can feel the touch, I can feel the weather, I can see all the color, I can feel the wind it's a movie. And
Wow.
sound effects with it, everything. And I woke up this
Background
morning
score.
exhausted from my dream because it was such an active one.
Wow.
But that is my mind when I'm as a seer, I see things incomplete, and that's along with soundtrack. I
Wow.
couldn't do the soundtrack, but the soundtrack has to be there.
I that you spoke about sleep. I think sleep is really important to create.
It is, yeah.
When you're awake, I think a good rested mind somehow can create better than someone who slept less. I just think so.
I'm not that lucky person. I live with an 89-year-old who's turning 90 this year. She can hit the pillow 8 hours solid sleep, deep sleep. If I get 3 hours and my Fitbit say, you had 3 hours of deep sleep last night, I'm going, hallelujah. Because all of the other hours, I am in and out of creativity
Oof.
dimensions, this, that, etc. It is that kind of what I call twilight zone sleep, where I'm in a totally different plane altogether. So if I get
Um,
3 or 4 hours sleep, that is a miracle.
so good to know that when I was on this 1,000 day thing, and some days I was writing up to 7 songs a day for 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was really necessary, Sarah, for me when it got so intensive, or when it was just too every day, the sleep helped.
Yes.
For me, the sleep, just like music resets in another sense, the sleep, especially when you're creating every day, you need that
Yeah.
page break, that day
Yes.
break, the page break, and your musicality has got to reach that ground zero again from where you'll start the next day, not from
Yeah.
where you left the last day.
Yeah.
So for me, that 7 hours sleep, hopefully 8, 7, I usually get no more than 7 through that time, was super important. I thought it was just important to share that with you because
It's very, if you can get that, if that's the
mm,
way you're wired, you will have longevity
exactly.
in life. And you'll always be able to reset your clock and then be set into creativity. I have this stupid creative mind that the only time it stops is if I'm watching a TV show or a movie, because my mind goes into that and then the
Yes,
rest of
indeed.
it rests. When I'm
Yeah.
sleeping, I'm creating.
Wow.
Right? That's the way it's always been for me. And so people say, why do you watch so much TV? I'm having a rest. Seriously, because my mind is watching something and it's being kept busy, so my psyche could calm down.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it takes a lot. It takes
Yeah,
a lot when you're on creator mode.
yeah,
It takes not just the physicality, but your mind, your emotions, your effort, of course, energy, um, that constant pull and push you have with the universe and within that I spoke of at the
mm,
outset. It takes so much when you're on creator mode. So, yep, you need to break from that
yes.
and be
Whatever it is,
rested.
some people it may,
Hmm.
you know,
TV.
exercise, going for a bike ride or whatever.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what it is, you
Yeah.
know. Don't let
Yes.
anybody tell you, no, that's wrong. You should do it this way.
Exactly. Each one their own, each their own.
You know what it is that it is for you.
Hmm.
And it was interesting as I'm a True Colors coach as well, which is the 4 key personality traits. I was actually on a cruise and I ended up counseling a few of the staff there.
Oh,
And
wow.
and one of them was is like, I just don't know why I can't shut off. And I said, because you've got both sides of your mind, your brain going at the same time. And so in order
Oh,
for the one side of the brain to be active, the other one needs to be shut off, which means you need to give it
dormant.
mundane things that it doesn't
Mm,
need to be active for. And then when that's on, the other can shut off and do mundane things. And I said, it's just a technique that you have to learn. But if you're constantly in mode with both of them going at the same time, you're on overload.
you'll
So
burn out.
find what it is that will switch one half of you off. You'll never switch both of it off at the same time.
And this is intriguing. I've never heard of this before. So is this something that you can actually teach? The
I
technique
don't
of
know if
doing
it's
this?
something that I had to teach myself.
Oh,
But it's something that when I was counseling, I would see in other people. And for some people, they can just go into meditation. If I go into meditation, there's the movie in front of me, the camera, the this, the that. That is not where I meditate. When I'm driving, taking the drive, and it's a beautiful drive down to where my daughter lives, over the Malahat Mountains, the lakes all on one side,
wow.
mountains on the other. Um, I very often have nothing on, no music, nothing. My mind is in driving mode, which frees up my other side of my mind to just be what it wants to be, see what it wants to see. So you learn to keep one part of you busy doing the mundane things that it can do almost in its sleep, while the
Mm-hmm.
other side is having a rest.
Nice.
But sleeping is not my rest.
I got it. Wow, that's really good to know.
I wish it
Uh,
was. I'm quite envious
mhm.
of people who can do that, but it isn't. And there's a lot of us like that. And I don't know if it came from when I was young, very sickly, and spent many, many weeks and months at a time in bed and living in a room with
Okay,
blank walls, and I had to go somewhere. So off I went dimensional traveling, living elsewhere. And so I think I'm constantly living in
right.
different worlds at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, so I suppose it kind of developed, as a
Yeah,
pattern from the
yes.
flow circumstances.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, Sarah,
But
thanks for
you've
sharing
got
that.
people they call hyperactivity or they don't know how to switch off, and it's do not try and
Hmm.
switch it all off. Switch one side off, keep it something mundane that it can do and be busy while the other can calm down and you can address that. And it just becomes a practice that you have to do and find out what
Nice.
it is that you need to do it. So.
Nice. Thank you, Sarah. It's good to know.
And you'll find a lot of people who are creative
Uh-huh.
that they get what they call the creative headache because they are on all the time,
I
right?
felt that only a few days through
Right.
the thousand. One of those days, which was a
Because you sleep.
second, there was one day I didn't. So that the second
Mhm.
last day, I did 21 songs through 24 hours.
Just
Yeah,
churning them out.
literally. So I thought the book has the exact details. I think by the time I reached, so that set the world record for the most number of songs in a day, right?
Wow.
I think that by the time I reached 17, I physically felt my brain was combusting.
Yes. Yes.
Physically, I could actually
Push.
say, yes, I could actually tell, okay, now I know there is something, this is where my brain is, and that's going to burst now.
Well, that's called creative overload,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but we kept this target, right? So I was like, find a way, find a way to cool off. Because I remember the previous night, I started exactly at midnight. So the previous night, I started sleeping at what? I think it was 6 to, I've written those details, to 10, woke up at 10. So 10 to midnight, I just got everything ready, as in my mind. And then I started at the stroke of midnight. After 4 hours, took a little break, slept for an hour with the alarm on or something like that, and then so every 3 songs or something, I'd run around the block, get a cup of tea, maybe a quick bite. So by the time I reached 17, I reached this point of combustion.
Mm,
My daughter was on the live session and she just called out to me. Just hearing her voice was what took me through the remaining songs and I
right.
finished.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So when that,
Reset, kind of the reset. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
it's just that it's her voice from it kind of just was like the energy capsule that
yeah.
just going through the
Yeah.
rest. So I understand this creative headache that you were talking about.
Mm,
I felt it a few other days when I was doing 7 a day,
mm,
but definitely that day I thought something was going to happen physically. But
yeah.
when we want to do these huge challenges, there is the risk of breaking down and you're
Yeah.
very aware of it, right? But then you put your mind on that goal, you want to do it, you somehow find a way, but when you're close to it, you nearly think you could just lose it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
this is why you see an awful lot of people, creatives, end up kind of just taking this drug or that drug just to get them through it because they're on a time restraint or they've got to get something done or I've got to get it out of my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
And then it becomes too easy to kind of keep going back to that drug. And you
It's
become
a
dependent on
dependency.
it, right? Yeah. And
Correct.
so, and this
Correct.
is why you see that. And then it's like, well, I'm no longer creative anymore because the drug has taken over and numbed you. All right. And so it becomes that vicious cycle that is there. So again, I think it's if you are a creative, you've got to know when to pause, when to take a breath, when to remove yourself from it altogether for however long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, and then
Hmm.
come back at it, as after what I call the deep breath, and then redo again. And anytime you feel, no, I've got to stop, It's got to happen again. I don't care how many times you have to do that, but you've
Hmm.
got to listen. You've got to listen and know when to remove yourself, because if you keep pushing, what you're producing is going to be garbage in the end, and you're
Exactly.
just going to burn yourself out, and
Exactly.
then end up hating what you're doing because you're burnt out.
Hmm. I've written about dependencies in this book, Sarah, and I like what you said, that we've got to listen to our body, and these dependencies. It's so important, especially the vices,
Hmm.
to keep some kind of a tab on it, a check,
Yeah.
because I know that a lot of us artists we operate with these dependencies.
Yeah.
We think that they add to our creativity, but there is a tipping point after which they have an adverse effect, not just on our creativity, on on what we're making, but also on us, our health. So
The body, the psyche, the everything, it takes over, right? It takes over.
totally,
So,
and
yeah,
that threshold, that tipping point, is not something we know.
no,
We
not until
usually
you're there.
know we usually know much after we've tipped.
Yes, that was the cosmic 2x4. Yes. Yeah. But this is the thing, is learn from that and know that if you're
Mhm.
going to venture into something else again, okay, last time I tried to pack too much in one thing. Next
Hmm.
time, if I'm going to take on a challenge like that, I am going to pace myself. And like when you look at a marathonist isn't out the gate running full steam ahead, because he's going to peter
Absolutely,
out. You know,
totally.
tortoise and hare. The hare got cocky and
Mhm.
took a nap, and the tortoise won. And this is something that, I used to be that hare rushing out the gate, and now I've become the tortoise,
Well
right?
done.
And if I actually don't reach the goal at the end of the day that I wanted to do, there's always tomorrow. And I don't beat myself up on it. And it's like, it will get done when it needs to get done, but I'm not going to burn myself out doing it. Listen to yourself, because you are ultimately the one paying the price.
Yes, and so that brings us to the point of world records, because we
Uh-huh.
fix these targets. So it is a do or die.
Yes.
It's you do it, or, and especially when it's 1,000 days.
Yeah.
We do you know that Sarah, that I had instances on the 1,000th day for a tech failure.
Oh God.
Till you, I mean, you've labored through these
Yes.
999 days.
Yes.
Somehow, call it God's grace, call it luck, call it a lot of things, whatever that was, your own will and all that. Even on the last day, you can fail. And so it probably needs to be written in the stars that it should it should be or that you'll die or lose or whatever that is.
And I'm always in is that we may not always reach these goals that we set for ourselves. And sometimes we're not meant to. They're not meant to be that goal. Sometimes it wasn't the goal achievement. It was the process of trying. That was the important thing.
I'm listening to you. Now, as we speak, I realize that this is something that I've never thought about. I never
Mm,
even wrote about it in the book. The book is about the journey of those 1,000 days and the lessons
hmm.
learned with references from the past, from my past.
You're right.
But I never, ever thought about losing.
Hmm.
It was not an option for me. It was never an option. I never thought about it. But now, let me take that further. I've written about that in the book.
Hmm.
But let me take that further, which I never thought about before. But now, as you were speaking, I did. How would I have taken it
Mm.
if I didn't finish it? How will I have taken it? I can tell you most candidly, I'd have been, because I'm generally a person that's very hard on myself. I'm
You would have
quite
been
harsh.
devastated.
Oh my goodness, I will not have taken it well. I can tell
Right.
you straight away, I'd have been the worst that I've ever been in my life, probably,
Mhm.
if I never did it. And I never thought about it until you said this now.
Mm. Because sometimes, okay, in the case of your technology breakdown, you go and find other technology and you got it done, right? You got it done. But in
Absolutely.
sometimes you're up against things that it's just impossible. It just can't happening. The ship is sinking, and the survival is on the thing, not the goal achievement. And I think that sometimes, I love the phrase fail forward, because I believe
Oh,
failure is when you
nice.
give up just for the sake of giving up. But when something gives up on you, but you know you gave it your all. You just didn't quite succeed in the manner you wanted to. I
Mm-hmm.
still believe you succeeded.
Thank you. Hmm.
So next time, don't be so hard on yourself. Is there going to be
I'm
another
listening.
time? Have you said
No,
any? No, because she said no, no, no.
no, I never
Vive le
want to.
jamais.
I never. You know, I'm so blessed in that those 1,000 days achieved so much output, so much
Yes,
content. See, we're living in an era of content and technology.
yes,
That's the age we're living in. And then through those days, I worked so overdrive, made so much content that is, let me not be complacent, but it's potentially going to take me through a couple of decades.
yes. Well, I mean, yes, let's look at it. You put all that content out. Now you're going to break that content down of the children's music and put them together in different forms of albums and bring them out
Mm-hmm,
and introduce them in different ways. You've written a
mm-hmm,
book about your journey in doing that, what you've learned about
mm-hmm,
yourself. That's another
mm-hmm,
chapter. You'll take
mm-hmm,
some of the adult songs that you've taken and do the same thing, put them together
mm-hmm,
in packages. So
mm-hmm.
with all that of work that you've done, you now can take a couple of decades in just sharing it out
Absolutely.
in different packages that taking the that song will go well with this song would good on that album instead of like it was all clumped, picking and
Yes.
choosing and bouqueting them, right? And then
Yes, yes.
yeah,
This reminds me, Sarah, that we could all be sitting on a mound of potential wealth creators, but we just don't know.
yeah, I
We
mean,
may actually be sitting on so much
yes,
opportunity, even as we
exactly.
speak. Stuff that we've done in the past that we've just put in files and they're closed.
Yes.
For all you know, you just need to just revisit those
That's
files
the
and
point.
look at
Remove
their
yourself
relevance.
and then come back and look at it
Hmm.
with fresh eyes and then go,
Yay!
now what if I did this, this, and this? And now it's
Yay!
present. I mean, I've got 3,000 shows here. I've got over 3,000 shows, but I've probably done 2,900 of them. And as you know, my shows are over an hour each. And we can never seem to get it under an hour. And it's not meant to be because, it's about the unraveling of the onion. And people have said to me, well,
Mm.
why don't you take your shows and put them together kind of in like, packages,
Mm.
right? And then you can sell them off in packages. And I thought, that's so much work.
Exactly. You see, because
I'm
when you're
still
talking about
producing the shows. I'm not
3,000, I
there. Yeah,
know.
exactly. So, it's a good idea, maybe for down the road when I slow down. But for now,
Good.
I'm still too busy. I mean, I'm not your 1,000 songs in a
You are
thousand
still
days,
in
but
my thousand
I'm
days.
still
You're
I'm
still in
still in
my
New York.
1,000 days.
Exactly. And
You're
and
running. You're still running.
I am still running because I'm branching. We're going into more books. I've just written my memoir. We've got a collective book coming out this year, which will also have a webinar. I've just joined an Everyday Women's podcast network, which is just for women. I'm a part of something else, and all of a sudden, and I've got this new baby coming into my life, which my daughter wants my time there, and all of a sudden it's like I feel like I'm doing something every day for 1,000 days,
Whoa,
and
look
it's
at
like,
how much you're doing.
and so
Wow.
it is like, okay, this is what's being presented to me right now. So you go and do what's in front of you. But
Right.
the idea of, yeah, that could be possible one day. It's not time. But you are at that time right now. You've already
Mm-hmm.
done the completion and
Mm-hmm.
you've got the book and you've got the songs. And now to put it together where those particular songs have a theme in the story that every song can build on the next story and the next story and the next story. I mean, this is
Absolutely.
where it's a totally different form of creativity of putting these different songs together.
Yeah. Even collaborations, even
Yes.
networking.
Yes.
I reached out to a big person in music on day 631 and in music in the music industry in 600 on day 631, which was probably in 2018 if I'm looking at it. um, he replied to me today,
Yes.
4 years later.
Yes.
4 years later, and his reply was, I'm interested.
Mhm.
So you know what? So
But if
much
he
has
but if he came to you during that time, you're doing the 1,000 shows, you go, oh gosh, I really want to collaborate with him, but I'm so busy
but what
doing this right now.
exactly? See what I
And
mean?
now, perfect,
Yeah.
you have to wait for the synchronicity of the time,
Yay. So
right?
now,
Yeah.
what I've asked him on day 631 is a very different ask compared
Yes.
to where I am right now.
Right.
So this is what I'm saying, that we could revisit files,
Mm, mm,
um, network, uh,
mm-hmm.
collab opportunities that we even explored. They may never have closed then, but and be prepared for that to suddenly
Yes.
show in your face. Like, hello, I'm here from 5 years ago.
You know, the funny thing is this year, and I knew this year was going to be busy for me with this new baby coming in, and I'm going to be moving closer to my
All the
daughter.
best with that. Hmm.
And yeah, we're quite excited. Another little boy in our life, and
Oh,
he's a special little boy because he's differently abled. He's got Down syndrome, so I know that the gift of who he is as a beautiful heart is going to be here to show us so much. But obviously, she's going to need more help, and we don't know kind of the extent of the help that she's going to need right now. But you know, the
right.
books that I've got to do and everything else, everything that was laid out, and it's like all of a sudden, people that I've either interviewed 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever the case is, all of these people have been coming back in my life, having done their own thing that now want to collaborate with me.
Hmm.
And their collaboration of what they're doing and what I'm doing is now a perfect fit.
Yes.
But it wasn't back then.
Now
We
there's
knew
a
we
match
wanted to do
indeed.
something, but now
Hmm.
everybody's gone and done their thing. Now we can come together like a perfect puzzle.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
And it's just, it's just like you've got to allow the universe heard you, and it's going to present to you when the time is right. We've got to get
Yes.
out of, hey, universe, where are you? Looking
We
at
have
our
we have
clock.
to mature.
Yeah, yeah,
Each of us that's part of this equation needs to mature and reach a certain level of whatever it takes for that magic to happen. Whatever is going to be that. It may not be what I did, it may not be what the other person did,
hmm
but it has grown over time. And now
hmm
what's going to happen with the synergy is going to be something that neither of us imagined, I would think.
exactly. And even better than you would have tried to dictate it to be, because
Yeah,
now you know that both in your own growth and maturity, that you're going to bring different energies to it, and it's going to transcend
absolutely.
what even anticipation of what it was. And I think that is the most exciting thing,
Isn't
when
it?
things suddenly kind of come back on you, and it's like, this is bigger than I ever thought it could be. Or this person or this person, it's just like, I wouldn't have imagined this so many years ago, and look now, and I
Yeah,
think
and
that's the excitement, isn't it?
this is the excitement,
Yeah.
and this is the hope, Sarah. And I
Mm,
know that there are people that are going to watch this, right? And this is a very strong message that I would like to convey to all of us here, that we never know. We never know the end result,
no.
but we cannot give up hope because we never know. So be prepared to be surprised.
Yes.
Just keep working. Just
Yes.
keep making your music. Just keep writing your stuff. Just keep running. Just keep doing work for the sake of work, and let work surprise us one day.
But that's, we've put out the creativity. Now it's stand back and let it inspire you.
Hmm.
I mean, how much music you're influenced by music of the past. I music, did those artists, when they were playing their music, and in 50 years, 20 years, 30 years,
Mm.
people are still going to be listening to my music or playing my music or singing my music. They didn't know that, right?
No,
And
no,
what a compliment to them that their music today is speaking to our generation,
exactly,
right? So
exactly. It's so
you've
wonderful when we see
created a
kids pick up the
library,
Beatles, and yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
no idea of which songs in your beautiful entourage of music is going to suddenly kind of hit someone and then become something big. And it's not for you, well, I want this one, and you can put together the compilation. But the song, this is what I say to people when I put these shows out there. You're on 16 audio platforms, you're on 2 video platforms, you're on 6 sites, you're on several social medias, but who picks it up to listen to it, how they listen to it, what they get from it, and what they do
Mm.
with them, it is entirely out of my hands. It's in theirs.
Hmm.
What it
Yes.
means to them, it's in theirs. I have no control over that whatsoever, and nor are we meant to. You play your music, how they hear it, how they feel it, and what it makes them do
We don't
isn't,
have control over that.
no,
That
no,
they decide.
it is the connection between them and your music of how they're going to dance.
That's a good one.
But that's exciting. So now you're going into collaboration, and you're going into albumizing, as I call it, kind of putting collectively together. I really want to know about the kids' music, please. I've got
It's
two
amazing.
little
So I'm
youngsters, and I want to
lovely,
pay for the download for them to hear
lovely.
it and have different
We I have to
music.
figure out how to do it, Sarah, because it's going to be books first, and
Right,
in parallel, I'm producing the 1,000 songs. Right,
right.
the producing the 1,000 songs will take a little more time. The books, as soon as the agreement is and the illustrations are ready, the book will be ready.
Okay,
And I
here's an idea for you.
uh-huh,
Somebody gave my little Roro, my little baby grandson, for his first birthday, a
uh-huh.
Mozart book. And so there's a picture of something to do with it and a few words. And then there's a button that he presses in the book that plays
It
the
reaches the
music.
music. Exactly. This is I've been thinking about.
Okay, it may be more work, but believe me, he was 1 year old and he knew exactly where that button was and he knew what his favorites were, right? Immediately,
Wow.
right? So,
My daughter
yeah.
suggested the same thing, but the publisher where I'm talking to is a totally book one, I believe. But let's see. We have to
No,
figure out.
put the music and the book
Put the
together.
music. I remember that.
Put it together,
I remember that.
because it's when a kid can hear a story and then there's a song to go with it, it is something that they're going to remember the story even more. It's going to be
Hmm.
even more impactful for the parent or the person reading the song, because you're not a grandparent yet, are you?
I have three
Oh, you'd have
grandchildren.
three, right? You know what
My
it's
daughter
like,
has three.
right?
Yay.
So you know what it's like that you read the story. Now imagine there's a song to go with it,
Hmm.
and how
Hmm.
much more they want to hear that story because there's a song with it. They can play just the song or just the story, or they want both. The impact of it. No, you're meant to put the two together, love. I'm sorry.
I th- we have to sit and bring this back to the table. I thought
Yes,
about this at the outset, but then
a
it's a
different
book.
agent. You
I'll
need
let you
somebody
know,
who
Sarah. I'll
understands the
surely let you know
music
about
too.
it. I'll definitely let you know about it. Definitely.
I really think the two together is something that will have an enormous impact. And quite honestly, other than little snippets of music, a few bars and books, there isn't kind of the full song. And even if it is, Google Play, or even if it is they download it to the phone and play it with it, there'll be somebody out there who will know how to do it because there's so
Yes.
many innovators out there. Putting it together, I think is what's going to make that your storytelling completely stand apart.
Yeah, and in that case, there's also no need for the videos, the YouTube videos.
No,
If the book and music go hand in hand, then you don't
yes.
need the videos.
But the other thing too, we don't want them to have the video because we want them to
Mm.
understand the tactile of book reading,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's plenty on screen. They're going to have that for the rest of their lives. But the
Mhm.
joy of opening a
I was
book and
particular
turning the
about the book.
page, yes.
Exactly, the page.
But
And I think that the kind
then
of
if,
learning is
yeah,
very different when it's a book.
I agree. And then there's music afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah.
Exciting.
I'm
Thank you,
interested
Sarah.
in that girl.
Appreciate it.
I'm
I
interested in
appreciate
that.
it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. It's possible. I know it's completely possible. It's just finding the people who know how to do that, finding the publisher that's willing to work with you, because this is your book, honey. Don't let them dictate the way it's going to go.
Hmm.
And until
Hmm.
you know how it's possible and how it can be merged together, you don't know that it's impossible.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
and I
Mm.
know as a grandparent how well that will go over.
Oh yes, I'm
I know.
certain of it, Sarah. I'm
Yes.
certain of it. It's just that what I was lucky to find was a pure publisher, but let's see. I
Mhm.
wanted to ask them about this, but we'll see. We'll talk to them.
Just by the way, we're inserting, even if it's something that then is hooked up to
It can
the
even just
internet.
it can even be just a barcode. You know what I mean? Each
It
page
could
can
be a
just have a
barcode that then goes to that particular song. And then when they
exactly.
buy the book,
It
it's also
plays.
paying for the music. And they
Hmm.
say, yeah, and that's something I've just done. I've just QR'd all my banners. and it's like,
Wow.
whoa, I've got, I cue out myself. And if you have that, and then it immediately goes to that song,
Yeah, yeah.
that's something that could be simple as that. But
Mm-hmm.
having the option of that music that is the song for that story will
Mm-hmm.
make that story have so much more impact.
Yes, I'm going to remember that.
See, we've already made it possible, just the QR code. There you go.
I've been thinking about all these things. It's just about, let's bring it to the negotiation table and see how it goes.
Well, it's like the pieces of puzzle. You've got all the content, and what you need to do is slap every single idea, whether it's connected or not connected, throw it on the table and see where the pieces fit. Right?
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
then as it goes, and you may even find you'll write more adult books and there's a song that goes with it. This could be a whole new genre for you, right? So why not? Why not? You are a musician first, so always make sure your music is represented in your books.
Thank you for that. I'll remember that. I think that's really important to take away from this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let the music play on, baby. Let the music play on. Now, how do people get your book? How do people listen to all your music? How do they find you if they want to collaborate with you?
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you for asking, Sarah. So the book is on Amazon, both paperback and Kindle. You just have to search for She Played in the Dark and you'll find it on Amazon. My music, all the links on where you can buy them and so on and so forth are all on my website, homepage itself. You have the links.
Would you
So
please say it for the people who are listening, love, and spell your name?
That's swapnaabraham.com. That's www.swapnaabraham.com. That's my website, and that's got the links to all the platforms from where you can listen to the music, buy the music, so on and so forth.
And you still have the site 1000songs in 1000days.com?
The site 1000 songs in 1000 days, both thousands are numerics, is
Right.
also live and going, because this is something that I would like to be preserved for posterity. I want people to. In fact,
this is your
doing a song every month, one every month, in memory of what was done every day.
Wow, that's
exactly
unique.
2 and more songs. And can you believe it, Sarah? I find it so difficult to do one every month.
And wait, don't forget, you were in a rhythm before. You were in a groove. You were completely plugged in. Now you're plugged out. You can't got the plug going. Where do I plug it in?
How was it even possible to do this too every day? So so that website is still there. I would like it to go on, so people can always go back and say that was what crazy was.
Yes. But also inspiration, right? And of course, you're on the Facebook under your name, in Instagram, 1000and1000, LinkedIn, your name. And of course, they can email you at music@yourname.com as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, there's no holding you back. You're a creator. And I'm glad you've not got, you're not in sixth gear anymore. That, you've slowed down and realized that, third gear is where I need to be right now, or even second.
It's good. It's good. Yes.
It's good because you've got so many possibilities and so many options with what you've already got. And it's just like how to present it in a different way. And it's, it's like in a lot of ways, you're creating your own musical now.
Yes. Like I said, the content is all there, and you're sitting on this mountain of stuff that could be used, put to use eventually, not just kept in my laptop or in some website. It could actually be used, for education.
Which means if you're a movie director looking for a music for your song or TV, a commercial, it's there. And how many artists do 1,000 of anything in their entire career?
There's a song about everything. There's a song, those 1,000 songs plus. There's a song on every damn theme, just about everything. You'd speak about the worst, the best, the ugliest, the prettiest, the most confusing, optimist, pessimist, different perspectives. There are so many songs with the title Sorry, so many songs with the title Hello.
Hello, I'm doing it again.
So
you know the
yeah, there's
song,
so many
whoops,
of
there
them.
she goes again, whoops, I had them on and they said, we're a one song wonder. We're quite proud of it because it got picked up by Geico. It opened many
Yeah,
doors for them. It took them down in
yeah.
different careers. But
It
here
takes
you
one
have
song
with
for most
over a
people.
thousand
Yeah.
songs. Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
One song, one song. It doesn't
A
matter.
little bit of an overachiever here, folks. Slow down, girl. Slow down now.
I will do, will do. I heard you.
And
All
when
right.
you do have those books music for children,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to come
Mm-hmm.
back because we're going to share all about
Certainly. I
that.
want to thank you for the insight. This was at the back of my mind, but when you've said it, I'm thinking about it, Sarah, and I really thank you for that.
Well, the QR code on it where they're going straight to the music, and that's already resolved it. The publisher can't query that. That's easy, right? And it goes
I
straight to the
think.
song, and the price of the song is in with the book. 2 for 1, special deal. So,
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to your audience again.
always,
Such a
always. And I
privilege.
said, when you've got anything kind of put together, collaborations you're sharing, you think, come on back and share it. You truly are an inspiration. You're an incredible
Appreciate
woman.
it. Appreciate it.
You really do share your heart and your soul and your spirit in everything that you do. And I want you to be celebrated for who and what your contribution is because it's big. It's really,
Thank
really
you.
big on so
Thank
many
you.
levels, not just the music level, the tenacity and the resilience and the drive. Just proving to yourself it's possible, right? It's possible, and just never giving up, never giving in, even at that 999th day, right? And that just shows that yes, we can if the drive is big enough. And the drive should never be the fame or the money. The drive is the passion and the conviction of what you're doing having a
Yes, the
positive
work
impact.
itself.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I encourage you to, Sarah. What you're doing is brilliant.
We both love
It's
what we're doing.
absolutely, and I'm just so grateful that you're doing this, and I encourage you to continue doing this at Godspeed, whatever you're at. It's amazing.
Well, I'm 68 now, and
Mhm.
but I'm going to go until 88 and see what happens. As long as I can do what did you say? Or the wrinkles aren't dropping down here somewhere. But I mean,
You're lovely as
if
ever.
my pink lady can do it at 92, I'm going to keep on going, right? So
And absolutely, that's the way to look at it. Sure.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's the thing with anything in life. You can take pauses, you can take redirects, you can take some time out, but at the same time, just never put a full stop in it. Your book isn't finished until it's finished.
Correct. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. I look forward to the next one and everything that you're going to do
Likewise.
next. I'm excited about it. I want to hear all about it. Stay in contact,
Thank you.
and we'll have you back on again when you've got something else to share. That is exciting. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah, and thank you all for listening.
And we've discussed so much here today, so much inspiration, so much possibility. No, you do not have to go out and do the 2,321 songs in 1,000 days. But it just shows that when we are really passionate about something, when we really love something, the energy, the channel, the possibility, everything is with us. Everything is with us. And even the collaboration from all those years ago, it's come back now, which is the perfect timing. So it's like plant your seeds, water them, but don't demand when they grow. They will grow when they're ready to be picked. And
Thank
so
you.
just allow, pause, see the possibilities, take off the blinkers, don't box anything in, but just see how else and what else can I do with this? And then let the creative sources take you into another direction. So
Awesome.
thank
It's
you so much,
exciting.
Anne.
Thank you,
And
Sarah.
oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.